Seraphine Auguste spent 6 months as a maid in the Devil of Seoul's mansion for one reason: revenge. Her brother died in Kang Jun Wu's territory, and she was going to make the ruthless Korean mafia boss pay with his life. She had the intel, she had the plan, she had the rage. But when her grandmother's nursing home flooded and Sarah broke Jun Wu's strictest rule, no strangers ever, everything changed. Because the old woman with dementia who wandered into his blood-soaked office, the grandmother Sarah smuggled in for one night, she was the only person the Devil of Seoul had spent 15 years searching for. The woman who saved him when he was a starving 8-year-old boy in Los Angeles. The woman he called Halmoni. The woman who didn't remember him at all. And now Sarah has to choose: complete her mission and kill the man who kneels before her grandmother with tears in his eyes, or abandon her revenge for a family she never known existed? Before we reveal how a wooden cane, a flooded nursing home, and a mafia war changed 3 lives forever, hit that subscribe button and tell us in the comments. Could you forgive the person who took everything from you? Let's dive into this story together. 6 months earlier, Seraphine Auguste stood outside the gates of the most dangerous house in Seoul, staring at the job posting on her phone for the 3rd time that week. Household staff needed, discretion required, generous compensation, no questions asked. The address was in Hanam-dong, where Korea's ultra-wealthy built fortresses disguised as homes, but where men like Kang Jun Wu lived behind 12-foot walls and security systems that could detect a fly landing on the perimeter, where her brother had died 2 years ago. Sarah was 29 years old, dark-skinned and beautiful in a way that made people remember her, which was exactly the problem. She'd spent the last 8 weeks dyeing her natural coils a mousy brown, wearing oversized clothes to hide her athletic build, practicing a meek posture that made her seem smaller, less threatening, invisible. Because Kang Jun Wu didn't hire beautiful women, he hired ghosts. People who cleaned his blood off marble floors and asked no questions. People who understood that what happened in the devil's house stayed in the devil's house. Sarah understood perfectly. She was counting on it. Her phone buzzed. So a text from her best friend back in Los Angeles. "Sarah, it's been 2 years. Come home. This won't bring Marcus back." Sarah deleted the message without responding. She'd deleted 100 messages just like it. From friends, from her mother, from the grief counselor who didn't understand that some wounds couldn't be healed, only avenged. Marcus Auguste had been 23 years old when he died, bright, funny, studying international business at Yonsei University on a full scholarship. He'd called Sarah every Sunday, sent her pictures of Seoul's street food, talked about his Korean girlfriend and the life he was building, until the night he'd been in the wrong place at the wrong time. A turf war between Kang Jun Wu's Baekho faction and a rival gang had turned a Gangnam nightclub into a war zone. 14 people died, and Marcus was number 7, collateral damage, an unfortunate casualty of business. The Korean police had closed the case within a week. No charges, no justice, just another dead foreigner in a city that protected its own. But Sarah had done her research. She'd spent 2 years learning everything about the man responsible. Kang Jun Wu, 38 years old, head of the Baekho faction, controller of half of Seoul's underground economy. They called him the Devil of Seoul because when he smiled, people died. He had tiger tattoos covering his back and chest, traditional Korean irizumi work that had taken years to complete. He spoke 4 languages. He'd killed his first man at 16. He lived alone in a mansion with rotating security and household staff who never lasted more than a year. Because working for the devil meant witnessing things that made people disappear. Sarah pressed the intercom button at the gate. A voice crackled through, male, Korean, suspicious. "State your business." "I'm here about the maid position," Sarah said in perfect Korean, her accent deliberately Americanized, unthreatening. "I have an appointment." Silence. Then the gate buzzed open. Sarah walked up the long driveway, her heart hammering against her ribs. In her pocket, her hand closed around the small flash drive that contained 6 months of preparation. Floor plans she'd bribed security contractors to provide. Schedules she'd pieced together from discarded employee contracts. Weaknesses she'd identified in the mansion's security system. She also carried something else, a promise she'd made standing over her brother's grave. "I will make him pay. I will destroy him. I will watch him bleed the way you bled." The front door opened before she could knock. A Korean man in his 50s, stern face, military bearing, looked her up and down with the calculating assessment of someone trained to identify threats. "You're the Haitian girl," he said in English. Not a question. "Haitian American," Sarah corrected quietly, eyes down, posture submissive. "Born in LA. Your resume says you worked for high-net-worth individuals in Los Angeles. Why move to Seoul?" "Family reasons." The lie came easily. "My grandmother immigrated here for her health. I came to be close to her." The man studied her for a long moment, then stepped aside. "I am Park Dae-jung, head of security. You will address me as Mr. Park. And the master does not tolerate familiarity from staff." "Understood." He also does not tolerate questions, gossip, or curiosity about his business. Park's eyes were hard. "You clean what you're told to clean. You see nothing. You hear nothing. You speak to no one about what happens in this house. Break these rules once, you're fired. Break them twice, you disappear. Am I clear?" Sarah met his eyes just long enough to show she understood, then looked down. "Crystal clear, Mr. Park." "Good. The master is away on business. You'll start tomorrow. 6 a.m. Don't be late." Sarah bowed slightly. The gesture she'd practiced in her tiny apartment. The show of respect that would make her seem harmless, compliant, forgettable. Park handed her a contract. "Sign here. Non-disclosure agreements are on page 12. Read them carefully." Sarah signed without reading. She already knew what the contract said. Betray the devil of Seoul, and your body will never be found. She was counting on that too. Week 1. This was the infiltration. The mansion was even more fortress-like from the inside. Sarah arrived at 5:45 a.m. on her first day, dressed in the plain black uniform Park had provided. The house had 6 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, a home office, a private gym, an indoor pool, and a basement Sarah wasn't allowed to enter. The master's private space, the senior housekeeper Mrs. Cho had explained in clipped Korean. "You never go down there, ever. Understood?" Sarah nodded, filing that information away. The basement was where he kept his records. His real business. The evidence she needed. And her first week was monotonous by design. Park was watching her, testing her compliance. She cleaned the same guest bathroom 3 times, polished silver that didn't need polishing, vacuumed rooms that saw no traffic, and she watched. Kang Jun Wu returned on Thursday. Sarah was cleaning the second-floor hallway when she heard the front door open, followed by the controlled chaos of men moving with military precision. She kept her head down, her movements steady, invisible. Footsteps on marble, multiple sets. Then a voice, deep, smooth, speaking rapid Korean, that made her hands freeze on the vacuum handle. "Get Dr. Yoon. Tell him it's urgent." "Yes, boss." More footsteps. A door closing. Then silence. Sarah forced herself to breathe, to continue vacuuming, to play her role. But her mind was racing. That voice. The devil's voice. The man who'd killed her brother was 20 feet away, and she'd just heard him order a doctor, which meant someone was hurt, which meant there'd been violence, which meant this was who he really was. Mrs. Cho appeared at the end of the hall, her expression sharp. "First floor, now. The master's office needs cleaning." Sarah's stomach dropped. "I thought the office was off limits to new staff. The master requested someone expendable in case—" Mrs. Cho didn't finish the sentence. "You. Now." Sarah followed her downstairs, her pulse thundering in her ears. This was it. She was about to see him, the man she'd spent 2 years hating. Mrs. Cho stopped outside a heavy wooden door. "Clean quickly. Don't look at the master. Don't speak unless spoken to. And whatever you see in there, you forget immediately." She opened the door. The office was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a massive desk, Korean art on the walls, and sitting in the leather chair behind that desk, looking at his phone with blood-soaked knuckles, was Kang Jun Wu. Sarah's breath caught. He was not what she'd expected. The photos she'd studied showed a cold, hard man in expensive suits, but in person, he was something else entirely. Devastatingly handsome in a dangerous way, sharp cheekbones, dark eyes that missed nothing, black hair pushed back from his face. He wore a white dress shirt with the sleeves rolled up, revealing the tiger tattoos that coiled up both forearms in intricate detail. And he was covered in blood. Not his blood, Sarah realized. His knuckles were split, but the blood soaking his shirt belonged to someone else. You're new," he said without looking up from his phone. His English was perfect, barely accented. "Yes, sir." Sarah kept her eyes on the floor, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Name?" "Seraphine Auguste, sir." "You're American." "Haitian American, sir. Born in Los Angeles." Finally, he looked up. His gaze was intense, assessing, the look of a predator deciding if she was prey or threat. Sarah forced herself to stay still, to breathe normally, to be nothing. "Clean the floor," he said, returning to his phone. "There's a stain by the window. Use bleach. I don't want to see it when you're done." Sarah saw the stain. It was blood, a lot of it. Someone had died in this office, recently. "Yes, sir." She worked methodically, efficiently, while Kang Jun Wu made phone calls in rapid Korean. She caught fragments, names, locations, orders given with the casual authority of someone used to being obeyed without question. And she memorized everything. When she finished, she stood, bucket in hand, waiting to be dismissed. Kang Jun Wu looked at her again. Really looked at her this time, his dark eyes moving over her face with unnerving focus. "You're not afraid," he observed. It wasn't a question, but Sarah answered anyway. "I've seen blood before, sir." "Have you?" Again, not a question. "Most people who clean my office quit the same day, or they come back drunk the next morning and have to be terminated." "Terminated, not fired. Terminated." "I'm not most people, sir." Something flickered in his expression. Interest, maybe, or amusement. "No, you're not." He waved a hand dismissively. "You can go." Sarah bowed slightly and left, her legs steady, yet her breathing controlled. She made it to the staff bathroom before her hands started shaking. That man, that cold, controlled, dangerous man, had killed her brother. Had ordered violence with the same tone someone else might use to order coffee. Had blood on his hands and didn't even flinch, and she was going to destroy him. But first, she needed access to the basement. 3 months into her employment, Sarah had become invisible. She cleaned the office twice a week now, polished the trophies in the display case, martial arts awards, business accolades, a framed photo of a young Kang Jun Wu receiving some kind of civic honor. She'd learned his schedule: morning workout at 5 a.m., breakfast at 7, business meetings in the office until noon, afternoons spent somewhere else in the city, evenings unpredictable. And she'd also learned he never brought women home, never entertained guests beyond business associates, never showed weakness or warmth or anything remotely human. The Devil of Seoul lived up to his name, but Sarah had also learned his patterns, the security rotations, the blind spots in the camera coverage, the fact that Park Dae-jung left every Friday at 9 p.m. for exactly 2 hours, a pattern so consistent it had to be significant. And she'd learned about the basement. Mrs. Cho had let it slip one morning. The master keeps his father's ashes down there. It's the only place he goes when he wants to be alone. A shrine. The Devil of Seoul had a shrine to his dead father. Sarah had filed that information away, adding it to the profile she was building. Because knowing your enemy meant understanding what they loved, what they feared, what they'd kill to protect. She was standing in the kitchen one afternoon preparing tea for a meeting Kang Jun Wu was hosting when Park appeared. "The master wants to see you. Office, now." Sarah's stomach dropped. Had she been caught? Had someone noticed her photographing documents with the pen camera she'd hidden in her uniform? She followed Park to the office, her mind racing through cover stories. Kang Jun Wu sat at his desk, looking at his laptop. He didn't look up when she entered. "You've been here 3 months," he said. "Yes, sir." "Mrs. Cho says you're efficient, discreet. You don't ask questions or gossip with the other staff." "Thank you, sir." "She also says you're the only maid in 5 years who hasn't stolen from me." Sarah blinked. "I would never." "I know. That's why I'm offering you a promotion." He finally looked at her, his expression unreadable. "I need someone I can trust to manage the household full-time. Mrs. Cho is retiring. The position is yours if you want it." This was it. The access she'd been waiting for. Full-time meant keys to every room. Meant being in the house when Kang Jun Wu wasn't. Meant the basement. I'm honored, sir, Sarah said carefully. But I have a personal situation that might require flexibility. Explain. My grandmother. She's in a nursing home nearby. Sometimes I need to visit her unexpectedly if there's an emergency. Kang Jun Wu studied her. You're close to your grandmother. She raised me, sir. After my parents died, something shifted in his expression. So brief, Sarah almost missed it. Pain, maybe, or recognition. Family is important, he said quietly. Then in a firmer voice, take the position. You can have flexibility for family emergencies, but if I find out you're lying, if you're using your grandmother as an excuse to meet a boyfriend or sell my information to competitors, I understand completely, sir. Sarah met his eyes. My grandmother is all I have left. I would never disrespect her memory by lying about her. Kang Jun Wu nodded slowly. Good. You start Monday. Park will give you the new access codes. Thank you, sir. Sarah left the office, her heart pounding. She'd done it. She had full access, and in exactly 2 weeks, she'd have everything she needed to destroy Kang Jun Wu and avenge her brother. 6 months into her infiltration, Sarah had become indispensable. She managed the household staff, as coordinated security schedules with Park, handled Kang Jun Wu's dry cleaning and meal preferences, and the 1,000 small details that kept his life running smoothly. She also had copies of every financial document in his office, photos of his business ledgers, voice recordings of phone conversations, a complete map of his criminal empire saved on 3 separate encrypted drives. Enough evidence to bring down the entire Beko faction, enough to make sure Kang Jun Wu spent the rest of his life in prison, enough to make him pay for Marcus. She was waiting for the perfect moment. A meeting with his rival factions scheduled for next month, where she could deliver her evidence to the prosecutor's office and watch the Devil of Seoul's empire crumble in real time. But then Mama Lucille's nursing home called. Miss Auguste, I'm so sorry to bother you, but we have an emergency. There's been a water main break. The entire facility is flooding. We're evacuating residents to temporary housing, but your grandmother... The nurse's voice dropped. She's having one of her difficult days. She won't go with us. She only wants you. Sarah's stomach twisted. Mama Lucille had been diagnosed with dementia 3 years ago. Most days she didn't remember Sarah's name. Some days she thought Sarah was her daughter. Some days she didn't recognize her at all. I'll be there in 20 minutes. She found Mama Lucille in her room, surrounded by chaos, nurses trying to pack, water seeping under the door, alarms blaring. Her grandmother sat on her bed, clutching a photo album and her wooden cane, tears streaming down her face. Mama Lucille, Sarah said gently, and kneeling in front of her. It's me, Sarah. We need to leave, okay? The building isn't safe. Her grandmother looked at her with frightened, confused eyes. Where's my baby? Where's Junie? Sarah's heart broke. Junie. That's what Mama Lucille had called Marcus when he was little. He's safe, Mama, but we need to go now. No! Lucille clutched the cane tighter. I have to wait for Junie. He needs me. The nurse appeared, looking stressed. Ms. Auguste, the temporary housing won't take her. She's been classified as high risk due to her episodes. We have a waiting list for specialized facilities, but it's at least a week. A week? Sarah couldn't leave her grandmother in a hotel for a week, couldn't trust strangers with her care, which left exactly one option, the mansion. Sarah's mind raced. It's Kang Jun Wu's strictest rule. No strangers, ever. Bringing anyone to the house without permission was grounds for immediate termination. At best. At worst, it was grounds for disappearing. But looking at her grandmother, terrified, confused, vulnerable, Sarah made a choice. Come on, Mama, she said, helping Lucille stand. You're coming home with me. Now, the night that everything changed, Sarah smuggled Mama Lucille into the mansion at 11 p.m. when Kang Jun Wu was out and Park had left for his Friday night routine. She'd planned it carefully, used the service entrance, avoided the cameras she knew were active, got her grandmother settled in her small staff quarters in the West Wing. Just one night, she whispered to Lucille, who was already falling asleep. Tomorrow, I'll find you somewhere safe. But at 2 a.m., as Sarah woke to an empty bed, Mama Lucille was gone. Panic slammed into her. She searched her quarters, the hallway, the kitchen, nothing. Where would a woman with dementia go in a house she'd never seen before? Then she heard it. Raised voices. Korean. Angry. Coming from Kang Jun Wu's office. No, 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 no. Sarah ran, her heart in her throat, and burst into the office to find a scene from her nightmares. Kang Jun Wu stood in the center of the room, his white shirt soaked with blood, a gun in his hand. 3 of his men surrounded him, Park, and 2 enforcers Sarah recognized from security briefings. And standing in front of them, looking small and confused, was Mama Lucille. The guards had their weapons drawn, pointed at her grandmother. "Who the hell is this?" Park demanded. "How did she get in here?" "Boss." She's a breach," one of the enforcers said, his gun steady on Lucille's chest. "We need to eliminate—" "No!" Sarah threw herself in front of her grandmother, arms spread wide, her body shielding Lucille from the weapons. "Don't shoot, please!" Kang Jun Wu's eyes snapped to her, dark, furious, dangerous. "Seraphine, what is the meaning of this?" "She's my grandmother," Sarah said, her voice shaking but firm. "Her nursing home flooded. I had nowhere else to take her. I was going to tell you in the morning, I swear I just needed one night." "You broke the cardinal rule." His voice was ice. "You brought a stranger into my house." I know, and I'm sorry, but please." Sarah's voice cracked. "Please don't hurt her. She's 78 years old. She has dementia. She doesn't even know where she is. That's not my problem." "Then make it mine." Sarah's eyes burned. "Fire me. Terminate me. Do whatever you want to me, but let her go. She's innocent." Kang Jun Wu stared at her, his expression unreadable. Behind Sarah, Mama Lucille made a small sound, confused, frightened, and then, in a voice that made everyone in the room freeze, she spoke. "Junie?" Sarah felt her grandmother's hand on her shoulder, surprisingly strong. Felt Lucille step around her, moving toward the armed men, like she had no concept of danger. "Mama Lucille, no!" Sarah tried to pull her back, but her grandmother wasn't looking at the guns. She was looking at Kang Jun Wu, walking straight toward him, her wooden cane tapping on marble, her expression shifting from confusion to something else. Recognition. "Oh, Junie," she said again, tears suddenly streaming down her weathered face. "My baby boy, where have you been?" And Seraphine watched, stunned, as the Devil of Soul's face transformed. The cold mask cracked. His eyes went wide, then filled with tears. The gun in his hand dropped to the floor with a clatter that echoed through the silent office. And Kang Jun Wu fell to his knees. "Halmoni," he whispered, his voice breaking on the word. "Halmoni, it's me, it's Junie." Mama Lucille reached him, cupping his face with both hands the way she'd cupped Sarah's face 1,000 times. "Look at you, so big now, so grown." She was crying, smiling, her dementia momentarily clearing into perfect lucidity. "I've been waiting for you." Jun Wu's shoulders shook. He pressed his forehead to her hands, tears streaming down his face. And Sarah saw something she'd never thought possible. The Devil of Soul was weeping like a child. "I looked for you," he said in Korean, his voice ragged. "For 15 years. I looked everywhere. Where did you go? Why did you leave me?" "Leave you?" Lucille looked confused again. "I would never leave my Junie." Park stepped forward, his weapon lowered, his expression shocked. "Boss, who is this woman?" Kang Jun Wu didn't answer. He just held on to Mama Lucille's hands like she was the only solid thing in the world. And Sarah stood frozen, watching her entire reality collapse. Because the grandmother who'd raised her, the woman who'd taught her about kindness and forgiveness and faith, apparently knew the man who'd killed her brother, called him my baby boy, had saved him somehow, now at some point in a past Sarah knew nothing about. "Someone explain what the hell is happening," Sarah heard herself say. Kang Jun Wu finally looked up at her, his face wet with tears, his expression raw. "This woman saved my life. She's the only mother I've ever known." And that's when Sarah realized the worst thing of all. She couldn't kill the man her grandmother loved. But then, here is the backstory. Los Angeles, 1995. They sat in Kang Jun Wu's office for hours while he told the story. Mama Lucille had fallen asleep in one of the leather armchairs, her wooden cane across her lap, looking peaceful. Sarah sat across from Jun Wu, her mind reeling, while he spoke in a voice she'd never heard before. Soft, vulnerable, young. "I was 8 years old when my uncle brought me to Los Angeles," he began, as pouring himself whiskey with hands that still trembled slightly. "My parents had died in Korea, my mother from cancer, my father in a fishing accident. My uncle was supposed to care for me, but he was a low-level enforcer for the Korean mob in LA. He didn't want a kid, he wanted free labor." Sarah said nothing, just listened. "He beat me when I was slow, starved me when I talked back, made me run packages for the gang, drugs, money, weapons. I was 8 years old and I was already a criminal." Jun Wu took a drink. "One day, I was running a package through MacArthur Park. A group of older boys jumped me, thought I had money or drugs they could steal. They beat me so badly I couldn't stand." He looked at Mama Lucille, his expression softening. And then she appeared. This Haitian woman with a wooden cane, yelling at them in Creole and English and broken Korean. She cracked that cane across the biggest boy's skull hard enough to drop him. The others ran. Jun Wu smiled, sad and fond. She was terrifying. I was more scared of her than I was of the boys who'd been kicking my ribs in. Sarah's throat was tight. She could picture it. Mama Lucille in her prime, fierce and unafraid, defending a stranger's child. She took me to her apartment, fed me, cleaned my wounds. His voice dropped. Asked me where my parents were. When I said they were dead, she cried. Then she said, "You live with me now. I'm your halmoni." She didn't even speak Korean, Sarah whispered. She learned the word just for me, looked it up at the library. Jun Wu's eyes were wet again. "For 3 months, I lived with her and her granddaughter. And a little girl about 5 years old, she had these big eyes and this smile that made you want to protect her from everything." Sarah's breath caught. "That was me. That was you." He looked at her now, really looked at her. "You don't remember, do you?" "I was too young, and Mama Lucille never—" Sarah's voice broke. "She never told me. The dementia must have taken those memories. Your grandmother fed me every day, made me do homework, taught me to pray. For 3 months I was just a kid, not a drug runner or a punching bag or an orphan, just Junie." He set down his glass. "And then my uncle found me." "What happened?" "He dragged me back, beat your grandmother when she tried to stop him, told her if she ever contacted me again, he'd kill her and her granddaughter." Jun Wu's jaw tightened. "I was 8. I couldn't protect her. And so I went. And I never saw her again. Until tonight. Until tonight." He looked at Mama Lucille again. "I've been searching for 15 years. Private investigators, database searches. I even bought property in LA just to have people on the ground looking. But she'd moved, changed addresses. I couldn't find her." Sarah's mind was spinning. "Your uncle. What happened to him?" Kang Jun Wu's expression went cold. "He died. When I was 16, it was ruled an accident. The way he said it made it clear. It was no accident. You killed him." "I did what I had to do to survive." Jun Wu met her eyes. "And I became exactly what he trained me to be. A monster. The devil of Seoul." He paused. "But for 3 months, your grandmother showed me I could be something else, someone else. And then I've spent 15 years trying to find the woman who saved the boy I used to be." They sat in silence for a long moment. "I brought her here to hide her for one night," Sarah said quietly. "I was going to take her somewhere safe in the morning. I never meant for her to find you." "I know. And Sarah hesitated, then decided on truth. "I need to tell you something." Jun Wu waited. "My brother died 2 years ago, in a shooting at a nightclub in Gangnam. Your territory. Your war." Understanding dawned in his eyes. "Marcus Auguste." Sarah's hands clenched. "You remember him?" "I remember all of them. Every name. Every casualty." His voice was heavy. "Your brother was studying at Yonsei. International business, 23 years old. He was on a date when the shooting started. Jack caught a stray bullet meant for someone else. He died because of your war." "Yes." No excuses, no justifications, just truth. "I came to Seoul to destroy you," Sarah said, the words spilling out. I got this job to get close to you, to gather evidence, to make sure you paid for what you took from me. Jun Wu didn't look surprised. I know. Sarah's breath stopped. What? You think Park didn't run a full background check? You think I didn't know exactly who you were the moment I saw your name on the application? He stood, walked to the window. Seraphine Auguste, sister of Marcus Auguste, degree in criminal justice from UCLA, black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You applied to work for me 6 months after your brother's funeral. Then why did you hire me? Because I owed you. He turned to face her. Your brother's death was my fault. Not directly, I didn't pull the trigger. But my war created the circumstances that killed him. I've carried that debt for 2 years. He gestured to the sleeping Mama Lucille. And I owed her. The woman who saved me when I was 8 years old raised the girl who came to kill me. That's not coincidence. That's fate. So you just let me gather evidence against you? Let me plan your destruction? I let you make your choice, just like I'm letting you make a choice now. Jun Wu's eyes were steady. You have everything you need to destroy me. Financial records, business contacts, enough evidence to put me in prison for life. The prosecutor's office would love to have it. Your brother would be avenged. But that woman sleeping in my office is the only person who ever loved me without wanting something in return. The only mother I've ever known. And she's your grandmother. He stepped closer. So you have to choose, Seraphine. Justice for your brother or mercy for the boy your grandmother saved. You can't have both. Sarah looked at Mama Lucille, peaceful in sleep, the wooden cane she'd used to save a child still resting across her lap. And she knew, with absolute, devastating clarity, that she couldn't destroy the man her grandmother called my baby boy, even if he'd taken everything from her, even if justice demanded it. Because Mama Lucille had taught her something stronger than revenge. Love. I hate you, Sarah whispered. For what you took from me, for what you are, and for making me choose. I know, but I can't. Her voice broke. I can't hurt her by destroying you. Kang Jun Wu nodded slowly. So what now? Sarah stood, her decision made. Now I take care of my grandmother, because that's what Marcus would want. That's what she deserves. She stays here, Jun Wu said firmly. Master Suite, full-time care, whatever she needs. I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm offering. This is the woman who saved my life. I've spent 15 years looking for her. Now that I've found her, I'm not letting her go. She doesn't remember you, Sarah said gently. The dementia. I know, but I remember her. That's enough. 3 weeks later, Mama Lucille moved into the master suite, which Kang Jun Wu had renovated to accommodate her needs. Hospital-grade bed, specialized lighting, some safety rails, a nurse on call 24 hours. He visited her every morning before work, sitting beside her bed, holding her hand, calling himself Junie, even though most days she didn't recognize him. The devil of Seoul, destroyer of rivals, controller of empires, brought to his knees by an elderly woman who'd shown him kindness 30 years ago. Sarah watched it all with a complicated knot in her chest, grief for her brother mixing with unwanted sympathy for the man who'd killed him. Because Jun Wu wasn't just the devil anymore. He was also the 8-year-old boy who'd been saved by her grandmother. The orphan who'd spent 15 years searching for the only person who'd ever called him family. And Sarah was caught between hating him and understanding him. Park noticed the shift first. "Oh, boss is different," he said one afternoon while Sarah organized medical supplies. Softer, haven't seen him smile in years, but he smiled yesterday when the old woman called him baby boy. "She has good days," Sarah said quietly. "Days where she remembers who she is, who we are. She remembers him. Sometimes, other times she thinks he's Marcus, or her husband, or a stranger." Sarah's throat tightened. But she's always kind to him, even when she doesn't know his name. That evening, Sarah brought dinner to Mama Lucille's room and found Jun Wu already there, reading to her in Korean, a children's story about a tiger and a rabbit. Lucille was listening, smiling, her hand resting on his like she knew exactly who he was. And the tiger said, You are not my prey. You are my friend, Jun Wu read softly. He glanced up. I saw Sarah in the doorway. She asked for a story. I didn't think she'd understand Korean, but she understands kindness, Sarah said. That's universal. Jun Wu closed the book. Stay. Have dinner with us. It should have been awkward. The woman seeking revenge, the man who'd killed her brother, the grandmother who'd saved him. But somehow it wasn't. They ate together. Lucille told fragmented stories about Haiti, about raising Sarah, about a boy named Junie who used to help her garden. You were so small, she said, patting Jun Wu's hand, but so strong, always trying to protect us. Jun Wu's eyes were wet. I failed. I couldn't protect you from my uncle. You were 8, baby boy. You did your best. She smiled. And look at you now. So successful, so handsome. Your parents would be proud. The grief on his face was raw, devastating. Sarah found herself reaching across the table, her hand covering his without thinking. He looked at her, surprised. She's right, Sarah heard herself say. You're taking care of her now. That's what matters. They stayed like that, hands linked, grief shared, until Mama Lucille fell asleep between them. By week 8, which is the rivals' attack, Choi Sang-wook heard about the old woman within days. The snake, Jun Wu's oldest rival, head of the Cheongryong faction, had been waiting years for a weakness to exploit. And suddenly, the devil of Seoul had one, a grandmother. Sarah was in the kitchen when the mansion's alarms screamed to life. Code Red! Park's voice over the intercom. We're under attack! All staff to safe rooms now! Sarah ran to Mama Lucille's room. Jun Wu was already there, pulling on a bulletproof vest, shouting orders in Korean. Get her to the panic room, he told Sarah. 3rd floor behind the bookshelf. Code is 1995. Don't come out until I give the all clear. What's happening? The snake wants her, wants to use her against me. His jaw was tight. I won't let that happen. Gunfire erupted downstairs, breaking glass, shouting in Korean. Sarah grabbed Mama Lucille, confused, frightened, and ran. But the panic room door wouldn't open. She typed the code, 1995, again. Error, error, error. No, no, no! Sarah's hands shook. Behind them, footsteps thundered up the stairs. Mama Lucille clutched her wooden cane, her eyes sharp with sudden clarity. They're coming for us. Mama, I need you to hide. No. Lucille's voice was firm. I didn't raise you to hide. The footsteps were closer now. Male voices, speaking Korean, weapons clicking. Sarah positioned herself in front of her grandmother, her body a shield, her mind racing through self-defense scenarios. She could take maybe 2 men before they overpowered her. Not enough. The first attacker rounded the corner, masked, armed with an automatic weapon. Sarah threw herself at him, her training taking over. Palm strike to the throat, knee to the solar plexus, grab the weapon. A gunshot. Pain exploded across Sarah's shoulder. She went down hard, her vision swimming. Through the haze, she saw Mama Lucille standing over her, the wooden cane raised like a weapon. You will not touch my babies, her grandmother said, her voice fierce and clear. And then Kang Jun Wu was there. The devil of Seoul moved like violence incarnate. Gunfire, broken bones, men screaming. Sarah had seen him covered in blood before, but never like this, never protecting instead of destroying. He was terrifying, beautiful, absolutely lethal. Within minutes, the attackers were dead or unconscious. Jun Wu dropped beside Sarah, his hands gentle despite the blood covering them. You're hit. Shoulder, she gasped. Not deep. You threw yourself at an armed man. He was going to shoot my grandmother. Something fierce and proud flashed in his eyes. Stupid. Brave. Exactly like her. He turned to Mama Lucille, who stood over them still, cane raised, trembling with adrenaline and confusion. Halmoni, he said softly. It's safe now. You can put down the cane. Lucille looked at him, through the blood and violence and chaos, and saw the boy she'd saved. Junie, she whispered, my baby boy. And she stepped forward, then put herself between Jun Wu and the bodies and spread her frail arms wide. You will not touch my son, she declared to the empty air, to the ghosts of attackers, to the universe itself. Jun Wu's face crumpled. He pulled both women into his arms. Sarah bleeding, Lucille shaking, and held them like they were the only things anchoring him to earth. "I've got you," he whispered. "I've got both of you. You're safe." And Sarah, bleeding, terrified, her entire worldview shattered, felt something shift in her chest. This man had killed her brother, but he'd also just taken a bullet for her grandmother, had wept at Lucille's bedside every morning, had spent 15 years searching for the woman who'd shown him kindness. Was he a monster? Yes. Was he capable of love? Also yes. And then Sarah was so tired of holding on to hate when the person she loved most in the world saw only good in him. "Thank you," she whispered against his blood-stained shoulder. Jun Woo's arms tightened. "Always." 2 months later, Mama Lucille got worse. The dementia progressed faster than the doctors had predicted. More bad days than good. More moments where she didn't recognize anyone. But every morning, Kang Jun Wu sat beside her bed and held her hand. "Good morning, Halmoni," he'd say in Korean. "It's me, Junie. You saved me when I was 8 years old. You gave me a family." Most mornings, she smiled at him like a stranger. Some mornings, she called him Marcus. But once, just once, she cupped his face and whispered, "My brave boy, I'm so proud of you." And that was enough to keep him coming back. Sarah watched it all. I watched the devil of Seoul become simply Junie. Watched him transform his mansion into a home. Watched him fire violent enforcers and hire legitimate business consultants. "I'm getting out," he told her one evening. They sat in Lucille's room, watching her sleep. "Selling my interests in the underground economy, going legitimate. Because of her? Because of both of you." He looked at Sarah. "Your grandmother showed me I could be more than my worst choices. You showed me what those choices cost. My brother, I can't bring him back, I know that. But I can stop creating more Marcus Augustus, more orphans, more grieving sisters." His voice was raw. "I can try to be the man Halmoni thought I could be." Sarah's throat was tight. "What about the snake, the rivals? Let them fight for the scraps. I'm done with that war." They sat in silence for a while. "I found the evidence," Jun Wu said quietly. Sarah's breath caught. "What?" "The flash drives, the photos, the recordings. Everything you gathered to destroy me." He pulled them from his pocket, set them on the table between them. "I could have destroyed them, or destroyed you for collecting them. But you didn't. No. Because you earned them. You spent 6 months preparing to avenge your brother. That's not betrayal. That's love." He pushed the drives toward her. "So I'm giving you a choice. Use them. Turn me in. Get justice for Marcus, or don't. Let me try to become someone worth your grandmother's faith." Sarah stared at the drives. 6 months of work, 6 months of planning, everything she needed to destroy the man who'd killed her brother. And she thought about Marcus, what he'd want, what he'd say. Marcus, who'd called her every Sunday to tell her about the kindness of strangers in Seoul, who'd believed people could change, who'd loved fearlessly even in a dangerous world. Marcus wouldn't want her to become a killer, he'd want her to choose love. Sarah picked up the drives, walked to the fireplace, and threw them into the flames. "What are you doing?" Jun Wu stood, shock on his face. "Choosing," Sarah said, watching the evidence burn. "Not for you, not even for her. For me, because I'm tired of carrying hate, tired of planning revenge, tired of being someone Marcus wouldn't recognize." The drives melted, smoking, destroyed. "You could have had justice," Jun Wu said quietly. "Justice won't bring him back. But choosing mercy might help me move forward." "And us?" His voice was careful. "What are we now?" Sarah looked at him, the devil who'd become a man, the killer who'd learned to kneel, the orphan who'd spent 15 years searching for love. "I don't know," she admitted. "I don't hate you anymore. But I don't know if I can love you either." "That's fair. My grandmother loves you. That has to be enough for now." Jun Wu nodded. "It is." 6 months later, Mama Lucille died on a Tuesday morning in spring, peacefully, in her sleep, holding Jun Wu's hand. The funeral was small. Sarah, Jun Wu, Park, a few people from the Haitian community in Seoul who'd known Lucille. They buried her in a cemetery overlooking the Han River, with her wooden cane placed on top of the casket. Sarah stood at the grave long after everyone else left. It's until only Jun Wu remained, standing a respectful distance away. She saved both of us, Sarah said without turning. In different ways. She did. I don't know who I'm supposed to be now without her, without Marcus, without revenge to focus on. Jun Wu moved closer. You're supposed to be Seraphine Auguste, strong, brave, capable of forgiveness even when it costs you everything. I haven't forgiven you. I know, but you chose mercy. That's harder. Sarah finally turned to look at him. What happens now? Do I go back to LA, find a new life? Do you want to? I don't know what I want. She was so tired. I spent 2 years wanting revenge, 6 months wanting to destroy you, and the last 6 months just wanting her to be okay. Stay, Jun Wu said softly. Not for me. Not as my employee or my anything. Just stay. Yeah, figure out who you are in a city that took your brother, but gave you the chance to meet the boy your grandmother saved. That's a terrible pitch. I'm working on it. Despite everything, Sarah almost smiled. I need time, she said. Time to grieve. Time to heal. Time to figure out if I can be in the same city as you without remembering everything you took from me. Take all the time you need. I'll be here. What if I decide I can't stay? What if I leave and never come back? Jun Wu's smile was sad, accepting. Then I'll be grateful for the time I had with the granddaughter of the woman who saved my life. And I'll hope that wherever you go, you find peace. Sarah looked at him, really looked. The man who'd killed her brother, the man who'd wept for her grandmother, the man who'd learned to kneel. And she made a choice. I'm leaving, she said. Going back to LA. I need to be somewhere that doesn't remind me of everything I've lost. Pain flashed across his face, but he nodded. I understand. But Jun Wu? She stepped closer. Thank you. For loving her. For trying to be better. For giving me a choice instead of just being the monster I wanted you to be. It made it harder, didn't it? Hating me. So much harder. Sarah's voice broke. I wanted you to be evil, irredeemable, easy to destroy. But you were just broken. Like me. We're both orphans, he said quietly. Different losses. Same grief. Yeah. They stood at Mama Lucille's grave for a long moment, 2 broken people learning to breathe. Take care of yourself, Seraphine Auguste, Jun Wu said finally. You too, Kang Jun Wu. The boy my grandmother called Junie. Sarah walked away then, down the hill, through the cemetery gates, into a future that didn't include revenge or hate or the devil of Seoul, and she didn't look back. 2 years later, Seraphine Auguste opened the door to her Los Angeles apartment to find a package waiting. No return address, no note. Inside, a wooden cane, lovingly restored, Mama Lucille's cane, and beneath it, a photograph, Seoul, 1995. A young Haitian woman with a wooden cane, a small Haitian girl with big eyes, and a tiny Korean boy with a smile that reached his eyes. Mama Lucille, young Sarah, Junie, a family she'd been too young to remember, a love that had reached across 3 decades to save 2 orphans from becoming monsters. Sarah traced the photo with gentle fingers, tears streaming down her face. Her phone buzzed. Get an unknown number. A text in Korean. She would be proud of the woman you've become. I know I am. Sarah stared at the message for a long time. Then she typed back. Thank you for loving her, for being the son she needed. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. And thank you for showing me the difference between justice and mercy. You gave me my life back. Sarah didn't respond. She placed the photograph on her bookshelf next to the picture of Marcus. 2 brothers she'd loved and lost. 2 different kinds of grief. And she thought about Mama Lucille, who'd taught her that love was stronger than hate, that mercy was braver than revenge, that sometimes the hardest thing, the bravest thing, was choosing to walk away from the person who'd hurt you and let them become someone better without you. Like she'd never loved Kang Jun Wu. The cost was too high, the grief too deep, but she didn't hate him anymore. And maybe, in a world full of orphans and monsters and people just trying to survive their worst choices, that was enough. Sarah picked up her laptop, opened a blank document, and started to write. Not about revenge, not about hate, but about a Haitian woman with a wooden cane who'd saved a Korean boy and changed the course of 3 lives, about love that echoed across decades, about the family you choose when the world takes away the family you're born with, about swimming instead of drowning, about mercy. Outside her window, Los Angeles glowed in the afternoon sun, and for the first time in 4 years, Seraphine Auguste felt something close to peace, in memory of those we've lost, in hope for those we've saved, in honor of the choice to be better than our worst moments. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button and share it with someone who needs to hear that revenge isn't the only path forward. Drop a comment telling us, have you ever had to choose between justice and mercy? What did you choose? Thank you for being part of this community. See you in the next story.